welcome to the Rugby World Cup 2023, a draw live from a study in Johannesburg. My name is Elma Smith, and you and I have so much to look forward to. We will be crossing to France in a few minutes' time to go join that live draw from Paris. But before we get there, we're just going to check in with a few special names from around the rugby universe to gauge what their feelings are as we build towards this big draw. You and I, we're not alone. We're also joined by Ugo Monye, who joins us from London, looking smart, buttoned down. Even earlier when I saw you, Ugo, you were just sitting there in a hoodie.
I know, yeah, I've had to smarten up. It's obviously a landmark moment for all of us as we look ahead to 2023. And I've got to say, I really appreciate the red dress today. Hopefully that's a good omen that England get a great draw.
Well, we are dressed and we'd love to see what you're wearing, where you are joining us from. So make sure that you weigh in, use that hashtag RWC2023. Tweet us, get in the comments section if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. We are definitely going to make sure that we bring you into this conversation. And there's more to it, right, Ugo?
Yeah, absolutely. I want you guys and girls to get really creative. We'll be trawling through the very best tweets. So let us know where you're watching it and who you're joining us with. Of course, we have got some balls as well as some signed shirts to be given away for the very best tweets. So make sure you keep involved in the conversation. Hashtag RWC2023.
Now, before we check in with some of the biggest names in rugby, I told you we've got some famous friends watching along with us. Let's just take a moment to appreciate what 2019 brought us just over a year ago.
Welcome to the land of the rising sun. The eyes of the rugby world fall on Tokyo.
This is glorious! Welcome to Japan!
It is absolute precision! A nation in raptures! Rugby World Cup has an Asian quarter-finalist for the first time.
It's knockout time.
A five-star try!
They have done it. Delight on the sidelines.
The Cinderella story comes to an end. You want box office? You got it. Eddie Jones has done it again. South Africa are off to the biggest game in rugby. Rugby World Cup 2019 is about to hit its pinnacle. For look how you are, back to back Azoli, Mapupi, Chesley Colby, South Africa, the World Cup is theirs!
Goosebumps. I have absolute goosebumps. And we had to start on that note, Ugo. I'm sure you can understand. We've got 11 minutes until we join the team in Paris. But I just wanted us to take almost 2 minutes to appreciate that beautiful final. What was your highlight of Rugby World Cup 2019, Ugo?
Well, it was a brilliant World Cup, wasn't it? Of course, South Africa were the champions and deservedly so. But I want to ask you, Elma, how did you feel after that final whistle?
You know what was great?
I literally can't believe it. I know I was saying it the whole time, but I actually, as I'm standing here, I actually pretty much cannot believe it.
You asked me to do it. You asked me to do it.
I'm going to stop crying any moment now.
Sorry, it was a bit of a loaded question. We know exactly how you felt, and you had every single right. I mean, that was raw and unadulterated emotion. Elma, seeing that video, having those memories from just over a year ago, how does it make you feel today?
well, blushing a bit. But also, do you know what was crazy about that final? When I got down onto the pitch and I looked around me, I realized that there were probably more South Africans there on the ground than in the stands, because I feel like the entire England had flown out to Yokohama Stadium and packed out that stadium. There was a small pocket of wives, girlfriends, and family members literally on the main stand immediately behind you when you're standing at on the main pitch stand. But the rest of it was all England.
Yeah, they came out in their numbers. It was unfortunate they didn't come away with the William Webb Ellis Cup. But looking ahead, I'm pleased to say that we are joined by the England captain, Owen Farrell. Good morning, Owen. How are you doing?
How you go? Good, thank you.
Good to see you. We're just reflecting on the World Cup, which was an incredible tournament hosted by Japan. But looking ahead, 2020, it's been a good year for England, hasn't it? 2 titles, the Six Nations, the Autumn Nations Cup. How do you feel the team has progressed this year?
Yeah, no, it was brilliant to get some rugby at the end of the year. Obviously, with everything going on, we're extremely privileged to be able to be playing over these last 9 or 10 weeks. And yeah, we feel like we've spent some good time together. We spent time in the bubble, time preparing, time getting better. And yeah, thankfully we came away with a couple of trophies off the back of it.
Absolutely. Eddie Jones has been saying that you want to put smiles on face, and I think it's fair to say you've absolutely done that. Owen, don't go away because we've got the draw coming up. It'd be great to get your reactions off the back of that. So take a seat for the moment. Alma, who have we got coming up next?
Okay, now just to even the score a bit, it's time for Umkokeli Wetu, our leader, the captain of the reigning Rugby World Cup champions. Siamtanda Kulisi, his name literally means he is loved. We love him, and he dressed up for the occasion. Look at that. Hi, Sia.
Hey, Elma, how are you?
It's great to have you along with us. So we're going to cross to the draw in 7 minutes and 30 seconds or so. I've got my notepad here. I'm going to be like a waitress now and take your order. Who would you like to play at Rugby World Cup 2023 in France? Let's start with. Would you like some Japan?
Elma, stop it. Well, it doesn't. I can't really say like who would want to play. We have to. I mean, you have to beat everybody to win the World Cup. So I think Owen would agree that you can't really choose that. That's not in your control. We just keen that we can be part of this and have this opportunity to play. So yeah, whoever comes, you're gonna have to beat anyway.
Absolutely. Sia, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You're looking seriously sharp there in green and gold. I just wanted to ask you, because there hasn't been any international rugby playing in South Africa. You've been a great spectator this year. So where do you feel the rugby landscape has been shaped, and who holds the power in 2020?
Well, seeing everything, I think it also reminds you once again what you have to respect all the teams that you play against. As you can see in some of the absences that have happened, the upsets, we experienced one when we played in England, in 2015. The whole world knows, and I think Owen and the boys have really been amazing this year. You can see the achievement that they've done. I think France has really been good as well. So a lot of teams have stepped up, and Argentina, through everything, not been able to play and how they performed, and that side of the world was really good. So I think everybody has played well, and we missed out, but yeah, our opportunity will come, and hopefully we'll be ready by next year.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sia. We will be chatting to Sia Kolisi again immediately after the draw, just to get his reflections. He didn't want to give me an order. Now I've got this whole notepad here for no other reason. Let's see if we can get an order from someone else. We have the captain of the 2023 host nation standing by. Ugo?
Yes, we do, Charles Olivion. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got just over 5 minutes before the draw is about to take off. But I just want to touch upon the great year that French rugby has had. We've seen so many young French stars coming in and playing really well. Where do you think French rugby is at the moment? Unfortunately, it sounds like we have actually lost Charles
Of course.
Olivion's. Classic.
Uh,
He's on mute.
we have
He's
one
back.
games. We have one game. Sorry, we must continue this momentum to develop the collective experience. Count on us to be ready for this event at home.
Absolutely. And just over 4 minutes now, the time is ticking. It must be a massive privilege to be hosting the Rugby World Cup. Last happened in 2007. How excited are you for this draw?
Yeah, it's an important first step before the competition and the World Cup. Founding act, of course. We are very happy to be here for the World Cup in France.
Brilliant. Also, just the last question. Captain of France, host World Cup. What will it mean for you to be playing on home turf in 3 years' time, running down that tunnel, leading out your team?
We'll be happy to play for the people we love. Many of them maybe in the stadium. It promises to be an exceptional moment.
Brilliant. Well, good luck in the draw, Charles. Hopefully it's kind to you, but thank you very much for joining us, and all the very best of luck.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got about 3 minutes and 15 seconds left to go. Great to see the way that France has played recently, Ugo. You definitely want your host nation to look like they are strong competitors, and probably the team that most nations are looking at, hoping don't land up in their pool with them.
Yeah, I think it's a really fair point. The strength and depth in French rugby has just been incredible, hasn't it? We saw their third string team play against England and push them so close. But when you look at that band too, you've got Ireland, Australia, France and Japan, and you've got to say French rugby, or the team of France, are probably the biggest challenger within that band. So as Sia said, you're going to have to play and beat every single team to win a World Cup. But if you could make a wish, you probably wouldn't want them in your pool.
We got one very special message that came in, a message of support from one of the most followed South Africans on all of social media. He has more followers than Charlize Theron, more followers than Trevor Noah, and he could probably have played a bit of serious professional rugby if he had wanted to. This is AB de Villiers.
Hi there, Elma and Hugo. It's AB de Villiers here. I just want to wish the Springboks well ahead of their draw. 1995, 2007, 2019. It seems like the Boks only win the World Cup every 12 years. So seriously, a decent draw today would be much appreciated. I hope all goes well, and I can't wait for France 2023.
Classic Safri is already on his beach holiday. Ugo, who have you got to join the ranks of our show today?
Well, they don't call me No Mates Monnier for nothing, so I've actually got no one. However, I know my mum and sister watching it at home, and I've got my extended family in Nigeria tuning in. So it's great to see that the whole of the world are tuning in, excited for this draw.
The whole Monnier Massive. Let's take a look at what people are saying on Twitter. It's great to see loads of activity on that hashtag RWC 2023. Ben James says, happy Wales Draw Australia Day. Michael Brady says, please let us have Wales from band 1 and not have Argentina from band 3. Come on, it's Christmas.
Yeah, fair play. We've got another one from Bill Bowman. Big day for teams and fans on the road to hashtag RWC 2023, the draw in Paris. I hope you get the draw you wish for. Oh my word, I'll tell you what, it's really, really exciting. It's been just over a year since we had the last World Cup, which created so many incredible moments. Japan have now firmly passed on the baton to France, and in just under 15 seconds time, we will know the fate of that draw. So yeah, I'm buzzing, really excited.
Okay, well, let's cross to Paris for the draw that will set up the 10th ever edition of the Rugby World Cup.
Pour certains, c'est spécial, les gars.
Les yeux dans les yeux. Le défi terrible.
For the first time.
Thank you very much, Ken. Thanks.
Welcome to France, host to Rugby World Cup 2023. Nous sommes à Paris, one of the most vibrant cities in the world, ville lumière, fashion capital, capitale de l'amour, and soon to be one of the 10 host cities for this very exciting event to come. Hello, bonjour à tous, and a very warm welcome to all of you watching us from around the world, and a special shout out to all you rugby fans. We're coming to you live from the magnificent Palais Brongniart. Today marks a very special occasion as we will be conducting the Rugby World Cup 2023 draw. My name is Louise Eklund and I'll be your host, and I can tell you that it's going to be extra special as we're also celebrating the 10th edition of the Cup on the 200th anniversary of this sport. Et oui, ça se fête. This will be a draw with a difference. We are living unprecedented times in this current period. We'd like to warmly thank the World Rugby family as the spirit of rugby unity continues to burn bright with players, fans and unions across the world, helping those affected by the pandemic. Of course, we'd love to have representatives of the 20 teams, unions and associations with us, but it's just not possible. Fortunately, rugby is back, we have a global audience, and there is plenty to get excited about today. It's now time to start the festivities, but before we do, we would like to encourage everybody watching to unite and to join the conversation with the hashtag RWC2023. Get your devices out and get typing. To start the proceedings and tell us how France is embracing this opportunity to set new standards in tournament hosting on and off the field, please welcome the President of the French Republic, Emmanuel Macron. President Macron, it's an absolute honor to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for being with us. Fans are watching us from across the globe. Les fans nous regardent à travers le monde. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire ce que la France va leur offrir et leur apporter en 2023?
Bonjour Louise, merci beaucoup. Et nous sommes très heureux, très fiers d'être là avec vous tous, avec vous, avec l'équipe, l'ensemble du monde du rugby français, avec tous les sponsors, et de pouvoir en Mondiovision, en effet, dire ce que nous avons à apporter. D'abord, le savoir-faire français. On a déjà organisé 2 coupes. Une pour une coupe masculine, une coupe féminine. Et c'est un point important, donc on a ce savoir-faire. La France est un pays d'amour du rugby, et ça on le sait sur tous nos territoires. Et donc nous avons aussi ce public, cet engagement, même si en ce moment il souffre beaucoup. Et nous sommes en train aujourd'hui de faire cet événement dans un moment qui est très dur. Et donc j'ai une pensée pour toutes les filières sportives, en particulier le rugby, le sport amateur comme le sport pro. Ensuite, cette nation de rugby qui est la France et qui est attachée, elle va offrir sa capacité d'accueil. 9 villes, 10 stades, mais surtout tout l'art de vivre à la française. Et tous les parrains qui sont là aujourd'hui sont là aussi pour le porter, et ils sont tous en train de souffrir avec nous. Parce que qu'on soit acteur, danseuse, qu'on soit grand chef, qu'on soit patron de grands événements, etc., etc., la crise de la Covid-19 est terrible. Et donc, 2023, pour nous, c'est l'apothéose, et on va offrir au monde tout ce qu'on a envie de rouvrir dans les prochaines semaines, c'est-à-dire cet art de vivre à la française. Cet art d'être entre nous, de partager de la convivialité, la gastronomie, des moments de fête, des moments de joie, des moments de culture aussi à côté du sport. Et donc cette capacité d'accueil de la France partout sur son sol, c'est aussi ça ce qu'on va offrir au monde en 2023. Et nous sommes très impatients de nous repréparer avec force.
Et on commence à se préparer, on va l'incarner sur ce plateau aujourd'hui avec l'excellence française, vous allez voir dans un instant. La France sera donc le centre...
It was great to hear there from President of France, Emmanuel Macron. I'm going to do my very best to be able to translate it for this next part. I'll be referred to as Hugo Monnier. It's brilliant him talking about how it's been a really tough time for everyone, but everything, all the plans are in place and everyone is coming together and working hard ahead of the Rugby World Cup in 2023. He did also talk about the amateur game as well as the professional game, the men and the women's game and how it's really thriving. He also said that sport is at the heart of French passion and is part of their culture. Really inspiring and motivating words there from the President of France. Hey, Elma.
I'm just so glad that I have you along for
et
this.
environnemental exemplaire. Et donc nous avons cet engagement qui est pris et ce qui est formidable pour ce rendez-vous de 2023, c'est qu'il se fera aussi dans des conditions uniques. Et puis, la retombée, elle est sportive et elle est en termes d'emploi pour les plus jeunes. On mobilise tout le monde du rugby jusqu'à 2023. Beaucoup de pression, mais aussi beaucoup d'enthousiasme, parce qu'il faut que tout le monde se mette en situation de réussir. Et donc ce sont vraiment des cordées de la réussite et de l'excellence qu'on veut faire partout en France pour créer des vocations, avoir de plus en plus de jeunes. Ça entraîne, on le sait, beaucoup d'autres sports aussi. Et moi, je crois beaucoup au sport santé. Et donc, c'est pour moi 2023, un an avant 2024, une manière de mobiliser la France pour avoir plus de jeunes qui rentrent dans le sport, le rugby et les autres, plus de jeunes qui se mobilisent, des pratiques sportives amateurs puis pro, évidemment, qui sont révélées. Et enfin, en termes d'emploi, c'est énorme parce que je salue vraiment, cher Claude, cher Bernard, vraiment l'équipe cœur de ce projet, c'est la décision d'associer tout le monde économique et de former des jeunes. Et donc, formation 2023, campus 2023, 2023 apprentis qui seront ainsi préparés. Et donc, c'est l'idée de dire aussi qu'on doit faire profiter toutes les filières qui sont autour de cet événement pour aider des jeunes à accéder à l'emploi, à faire partie de celui-ci et à bâtir leur avenir grâce à cet événement. Donc ça apporte de manière très concrète sur les territoires, pour notre jeunesse, pour le pays.
Nous savons que vous êtes fan de sport, fan de tennis, fan de foot, sûrement fan de rugby. Est-ce que vous avez un mot d'encouragement pour les équipes qui nous regardent?
Je l'ai dit de façon tout à l'heure à notre ami sélectionneur. D'abord, en ayant un mot d'encouragement, je veux avoir un mot pour Domi aujourd'hui. Et on pense tous, évidemment, à ceux qu'on a perdus. Il se trouve que ce matin, on a perdu un grand sélectionneur d'un autre sport. Gérard Houllier était un très grand sélectionneur de l'équipe de France de foot, PSG, de plusieurs autres équipes. Et je veux avoir un mot pour lui ce matin. Et Dominici aussi nous a quittés il y a plusieurs semaines. Et je veux avoir un mot pour lui et ce qu'il représentait dans la famille du rugby français. Mais je l'ai dit tout à l'heure à Fabien, je me suis engagé de toute façon à aller... Marcoussi, comme je l'avais fait il y a quelques mois. Donc j'irai les encourager sur site en début d'année prochaine.
Really good to hear from President Emmanuel Macron there, who's just paid homage in his respects to a couple of legends of the sporting world, Christophe Dominici, just saying that he obviously a massive part of French history, a massive part of French rugby, and sends his condolences to his family and his friends, as well as Gérard Houllier, very familiar in England, former coach of PSG Lyon. He coached the French team as well as Liverpool, winning 10 trophies in his time. He unfortunately passed away today. So Emmanuel Macron just passing his respects there. But he's also talking about the pressure and the excitement for 2023, the legacy of that tournament and what it would do for the economy, for the amateur era and the professional era. And everyone should profit for it, boys and girls, young and old.
Rejoindre les coulisses pour continuer, évidemment, les festivités avec nous. The Rugby World Cup will be a moment of union and unity as the Rugby World family gathers. And as we prepare for this great event, let's hear a few words from the World Rugby Chairman and Hall of Famer, Sir Bill Bowman, who is with us by the wonders of technology.
Bonjour. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. And a warm welcome the Rugby World Cup 2023 draw in Paris. Like most of you, I'm following today's proceedings from behind a screen. COVID-19 might stop us from travelling, but it can't stop the excitement building towards France 2023. This is where it starts. What an honour to hear those inspiring words from President Macron. There could be no better place than France to celebrate the 200th anniversary of our game in 2023. France knows better than most the power of sport to bring a country together. And in challenging times, this tournament represents a positive and exciting time for everyone. It's the promise of a celebration like no other, the best of rugby and the best of France. This will be for the whole of France, with 9 match venues, 10 host cities, a nation united behind the event. Rugby World Cup 2023 will be great for rugby, but not only for rugby. In a world of change and uncertainty, accelerated by the global pandemic, it's important that major events are not just a celebration of sporting performance, but a symbol of unity, diversity, and change. The social and sporting legacy plans are inspirational, and that legacy starts today. This is the moment when Rugby World Cup 2023 starts, for teams, players, host cities, and fans all around the world. And I'm one of them. I'll be watching with excitement to see the composition of the pools and the big fixtures for the 10th Men's Rugby World Cup. Before then, let me conclude by thanking the French government, the host city authorities, our friends at the France 2023 Organising Committee, the FFR, and most importantly, all the people of France whose enthusiasm, commitment and support will make France 2023 one of the great Rugby World Cups. I wish all the teams involved the very best of luck. See you in France 2023.
Definitely. See you in France, Bill, 2023. Over the course of the last 33 years and 9 events, the Men's Rugby World Cup has produced some of the most iconic and dramatically inspiring moments in sporting history. And 25 years ago, one of those moments, Nelson Mandela's Rugby World Cup, became one of the most transformative moments in history. He said sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. Let's remind ourselves of how our world has changed by the feats of the great Rugby World Cup.
Dominici scores for France. They take the lead. Finnegan, go for the line man. And he gets there. It's coming back for Johnny Wilkinson. He drops for World Cup glory. It's over. He's done it.
That is a big score for South Africa. They lead 15 points to 6.
Joseph Colby, South Africa, the World Cup is theirs!
Some magical moments and many more to come, of course, with 10 host cities across France, from Bordeaux to Lyon, Nantes to Saint-Etienne, Lille to Toulouse, Nice to Saint-Denis, and Marseille to Paris. Rugby is a very special sport, and it shares universal and inclusive values with all of you. To better understand this sport, I'm going to now welcome the France 2023 CEO, Claude Hachier. Claude.
Bonjour Louise.
Bonjour, on est ravis de vous avoir avec nous sur le plateau aujourd'hui. J'ai souvent entendu dire que cette Coupe du Monde sera unique. Mais en quoi il sera unique?
Alors elle sera unique d'abord parce qu'on le veut qu'elle soit unique. On a une volonté depuis le début de démontrer quelle est la réponse à apporter à la raison d'être d'un événement sportif. Pourquoi on organise un événement sportif? Aujourd'hui, je pense qu'il est temps que les événements sportifs changent de paradigme, qu'on démontre que nous sommes ancrés dans la société, que nous avons intégré dans le cadre de l'ambition de l'événement l'ensemble des problématiques de cette société et que nous voulons être exemplaires, irréprochables, responsables pour démontrer qu'un événement sportif aujourd'hui a un impact sur le pays, un impact sur la population, un impact sur le sport. C'est notre travail de tous les jours. Tous les jours, avec mon équipe, je leur répète, il faut qu'on soit meilleur tous les jours. C'est une exigence fondamentale parce que l'ambition que nous avons posée a des exigences. Elle nous impose un certain nombre de devoirs. Ces devoirs, nous essayons tous les jours de travailler pour démontrer que cette Coupe du Monde, elle sera plus qu'une célébration, elle sera un symbole.
Plus que jamais, je pense que vous êtes d'accord avec moi. Ceux qui nous regardent dans le monde, on a besoin de sport, de fêtes, de célébrations. En quoi la Coupe du Monde pourrait-elle un symbole d'espoir, un monde après?
It's great to have Claude Hachier with us, the 2023 French CEO for the Rugby World Cup. We just asked the question, why is rugby so unique looking ahead in 3 years' time? And he spoke about the volunteers in the community, and it becomes that raison d'etre, that reason for living, that reason for life. And he said it's given an extra importance. We're in troubled times, everyone's facing their own problems, and the Rugby World Cup will almost act as a symbol of hope.
On leur promet un grand moment de partage. 2007 avait déjà été, dans ce cadre-là, une Coupe du Monde assez exemplaire. On veut aller plus loin. On veut mettre les joueurs au contact des spectateurs. On veut donner aux Français, dans les territoires, le plaisir et la joie de retrouver le plaisir de retourner dans un stade.
Et je crois qu'on a un moment à vivre ensemble maintenant, à regarder ensemble.
Oui, alors plutôt que des mots, je vous laisse regarder les quelques images qu'on a préparées pour justifier cet engagement et ce positionnement.
On regarde tout de suite. Ça donne super envie. On a hâte d'y être.
C'est exactement ça. On va être impatient. 3 ans, on a 3 ans de travail, mais je pense que tout ce que nous avons vu, c'est ce que nous voulons donner au monde, aux Français et à tous les Français, dans quelle que soit leur situation, quel que soit leur lieu d'habitation géographique, que cette Coupe du Monde des territoires nous permette à tous de retrouver ce lien social que le rugby justifie exactement dans son ADN.
Fantastique. Merci beaucoup, Claudetchi.
Merci.
So here we go, the moment that the teams and the fans have been waiting for, the Rugby World Cup 2023 draw. And also joining us today digitally, the coaches of the qualified teams, of course, are here with us. Hello, a very warm welcome to all of you watching us here. I'm really looking forward to seeing your reaction as you are going to be, over the next half hour, of course, learning the names of the pools for this 10th edition. There are 12 automatic qualifiers for France 2023. There are the teams who secured a top 3 positions in their pool at Rugby World Cup 2019. Let's now take a look at these teams and how they qualified during a truly special event in Japan. So that's for the automatic qualifiers. The remaining 8 teams will be determined by the global qualification process. Let's take a look at how it works. The 2 best teams in the Americas will qualify directly as Americas 1 and Americas 2. The 3rd best team in the region will qualify for the final qualification tournament. In Europe, the Rugby Europe Championship will deliver 2 direct places, Europe 1 and Europe 2. And the 3rd best team will enter the final qualification tournament. The Rugby Africa Cup will deliver 1 direct qualifier, Africa 1, with the runner-up entering the final qualification tournament. Oceania will deliver a direct qualifier, Oceania 1, with a further direct place, Asia Pacific 1, determined via a playoff between Oceania's 2nd best team and Asia's champion. The losing side of that playoff will join the 3 other teams into the final qualification tournament. Finally, the 4 teams that have qualified for the final qualification tournament will compete for the last spot to enter Rugby World Cup 2023 in France. Based on these rankings, the 12 direct qualifiers are allocated into the following bands for a random draw into their pools. Band 1, South Africa, New Zealand, England, Wales. Band 2, Ireland, Australia, France and Japan. Band 3, Scotland, Argentina, Fiji and Italy. The 8 remaining qualifiers have been placed into bands 4 and 5. Band 4 consists of Oceania 1, Europe 1, Americas 1, Asia Pacific 1, and Band 5 consists of Africa 1, Europe 2, Americas 2, and the final qualifier winner. So just before we proceed with the draw, I'd like to acknowledge the attendance of our scrutineers who have witnessed the teams being placed in each band for the draw, according to the draw rules. So now let's get down to business. And to do this, we have an absolutely fantastic lineup consisting of 6 ambassadors of French excellence and of the art of being French. And first up, I'd like to welcome an outstanding artist, the first Frenchman to have obtained an Oscar for Best Actor in 2012 for his role in The Artist. It's Jean Dujardin. Bonjour, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, Jean Dujardin. On est
Bonjour.
ravis de vous avoir avec nous. And to speak in English a little bit, this is a franglais ceremony here, of course. I recall in 2012 when you were given an award at the British Academy Awards, you did a thank you speech for your role in The Artist, and you mentioned the inventor of rugby, Sir William Webb Ellis. Is that because you come from a rugby family? Is that because you have learned things from rugby? Qu'est-ce que vous avez appris de ce sport?
J'ai appris ce qu'on dit un petit peu du rugby. C'est toujours un petit cliché, mais en fait, c'est peut-être c'est souvent synonyme de courage, on va dire, le rugby. C'est synonyme d'engagement, de combativité, et puis de fraternité aussi.
Et votre famille est
Oui, ma
est
famille,
dans le rugby?
effectivement, oui, mon père a été pilier gauche pendant 35 ans. Oui, mes frères aussi ont joué à la charnière, et moi j'étais très doué plutôt dans le quart, moi, après. Plutôt la troisième mi-temps, oui.
D'accord, c'est très bien aussi. So Jean, we're going to begin the draw by drawing the ball that confirms France's pool. That's your mission, if you will accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Accepted. Remember that France are ranking in band 2 and will therefore occupy the second position in the pool in which they are drawn. Okay, so it's over to you to determine the pool that France will play in. I will take the ball, and the ball is here. Don't look inside.
Je vais.
Yes, you can go for it. Over to you. The suspense is killing me.
Hey.
Wow, okay, so France officially begin their journey to the Rugby World Cup 2023, where they will be in Pool A. You did a great job. Thank you so much, Jean Dujardin. You can give him a round of applause. It's a pleasure to have you with us, of course. And now we move on to the bands. All the balls have already been placed into the bowl. May I remind you that the first team drawn will enter the Pool A, the second Pool B, the third Pool C, and so on and so forth. So now to draw Band 5. Please welcome one of the most productive French architects of his generation. He has built and rehabilitated buildings all over the world, notably the Grand Palais Éphémère, which may be used for the Rugby World Cup 2023. Please welcome Jean-Michel Wilmot. Et il est là. Bonjour, on est ravis de vous avoir avec nous, Jean-Michel. Thanks so much for being here. In 3 years' time, Jean-Michel, all the fans that are watching us, or a lot of the fans might decide to come over to France to see some amazing sport, but they might also want to visit this absolutely beautiful country. What must they absolutely not miss, Jean-Michel?
I think she should go everywhere, but
yes.
I could say Bordeaux is a very nice city, nice for the architecture, 17th century city, but also good for the food, for the wine. I think it's and there is a very nice stadium designed by Herzog de Meuron, which is fantastic. Really.
So you would advise Bordeaux, where else?
Ah, no. Marseille is a typical city, open. It's a gate to France. I think it's a very interesting, unusual city. And I like Nice too, because for many things, but this is also the French Riviera. It's near the Mediterranean Sea, and also I'm very happy because I designed the stadium in Nice.
Yes, of course.
So,
well, if you hadn't said it, I would have said it, Jean-Michel, of course. Designing a stadium in Nice.
So I will have the chance to see the competition inside this stadium.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for the advice. You heard him. Jean-Michel, no pressure. It's your moment.
Yes.
It's over to you. Please draw the balls for band 5.
Africa 1.
So in Pool A, we have Africa 1. Okay, moving on. Thank you very much, Jean-Michel. Next one.
Europe 2.
Europe 2 in Pool B. Ensuite.
Final qualifier winner.
Final qualifier winner in Pool C. And the last one, Jean-Michel.
And the last one, Americas 2.
Americas 2 in Pool D. Thank you so much, Jean-Michel. Perfect. That was a sans faute. It's time now for band 4, so please welcome a photographer and author of world bestseller Earth from Above, a man who continues his fight for ecology at the head of the Good Planet Foundation, Monsieur Yann Arthus Bertrand. Yann Arthus Bertrand, bonjour. On est vraiment très heureux de vous avoir avec nous sur le plateau aujourd'hui. I'm going to speak in English. This is a franglais ceremony, of course. Feel free to reply in the language that you would like to. Your life mission is to raise awareness, of course, and educate public citizens on environmental protection. It's up to each and every one of us, of course, to act. But why should specifically the world of rugby be concerned by climate change?
La semaine dernière, le secrétaire général des Nations Unies a lancé un appel au secours que nous allions vers une crise climatique imminente très importante. Et c'est le secrétaire général des Nations Unies, ce n'est pas le patron de Greenpeace ou de WWF. Donc vraiment, il faut croire les scientifiques aujourd'hui. Et pourquoi? Parce que bien sûr, beaucoup de grands joueurs de rugby viennent de petites îles du Pacifique, Tonga, Fidji, qui risquent un jour d'être inondés. Donc bien sûr, vous êtes en plein dedans. Et surtout, ce que je voudrais dire, c'est que tout être humain aujourd'hui a le devoir d'essayer d'agir contre le changement climatique dans sa vie quotidienne. C'est un devoir qu'on a tous, tout être humain. Voilà.
Chacun a sa part à jouer, en effet.
Exactement.
Et vous avez un rôle à jouer tout de suite, Yann. On va commencer avec the draw. So we're moving on to the draw for the balls for band 4. Let's start. Thank you.
C'est bon?
C'est bon.
America 1.
America 1 in Pool A, please. On enchaîne.
Asia Pacific 1.
Asia Pacific 1 in Pool B, please. And the next one.
Europe 1.
Europe won in Pool C. Thank you, Jan. And for the last one?
Oceania won.
Oceania won for Pool D. Thank you so much. That was perfect, Jan. Wonderful. That completes the draw for Band 4. Moving on to Band 3 now, the first band of the directly qualified teams from Rugby World Cup 2019. To draw Band 3, I'd like to welcome our next guest. He's a renowned French designer. His shoes with the red soles are a world phenomenon. He's currently the subject of an exhibition at the Palais Porte Dorée in Paris. He is Christian Louboutin. Christian, ravi de vous avoir sur le plateau. I'm going to speak in English. You're very, very welcome here today. You are a renowned French designer celebrating 30 years of creation today. Your shoes are renowned in the world. I believe that you draw a lot of inspiration from different horizons. Have you ever been inspired by a match, the emotion of this sport?
Well, if I'm watching a match, I'm just concentrating on the match. So this is not a moment where I would be inspired by sport. But otherwise, sport is a very big inspiration for me for a very, very long time. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And have you ever thought of putting those red soles on some of the rugby players' shoes?
It is about to happen. But I did some shoes to the color of Wales, meaning the green, the white, and the red dragon. So it wouldn't be the first one, but yes, I'm working on that.
We're working on it. Okay, perfect. It's your time, Christian, to draw the balls.
All right.
For Band 3. So we're going to get started. Christian, it's over to you.
Italy.
In Pool A, we have Italy. Moving on.
Scotland.
And Scotland in Pool B. Moving on.
Fiji.
Fiji in Pool C. And the last one. Changing hands, building the suspense. Here we are.
Argentina.
Argentina in Pool D. Perfect. Well done, Christian. Thank you so much. And now to draw Band 2, please welcome a member of the National Ballet, l'Opéra de Paris. She was named principal dancer in 2013 after a fantastic performance at the Parc d'Angelin-Prège-Locage. She was part of the Miss France jury in 2019. Please welcome Alice Renavant. Alice, très, très heureuse de vous avoir avec nous. I often hear people saying that rugby is dance. Le rugby, c'est la danse. Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec ça?
Oui, c'est amusant, mais pourquoi pas. C'est dit, alors, une danse explosive, hein, vraiment limite violente, hein, parfois.
C'est vrai, assez.
Mais ceci dit, oui, quand je regarde le rugby, je vois une vraie chorégraphie. Les schémas tactiques sont vraiment des figures qu'on peut retrouver vraiment dans nos ballets.
Et qu'est-ce que vous voulez, vous, Alice, voir sur le terrain en 2023?
De l'émotion. Là, en plus, on en a vraiment besoin. En plus, j'aime vraiment autant regarder le sport que la danse. vraiment l'investissement des joueurs, le dépassement de soi, voilà, sont des choses auxquelles je tiens énormément. Et de les voir voilà, tous se battre pour leur nation, je trouve ça vraiment incroyable.
Eh bien, super, on va démarrer donc cette tirage
Très
pour
bien.
vous. It's over to you now to draw the balls for band 2. Alice.
Ireland.
So, in Pool B, we have Ireland. Moving on.
Australia.
In Pool C, Australia. And next one. In Pool
Japan.
Japan for Pool D. Thank you very much, Alice. Wonderful. And now for the final band, Band 1, and the last 4 teams to complete the draw. I'm pleased to welcome on stage the most famous French chef. His restaurant was nominated this year for the 4th time, the best restaurant in the world. It's the 3-star Michelin chef, Guy Savoy.
Sois bon, ouais, putain.
Eh bien, quel plateau, quel bonheur. C'est super de vous
Merci.
avoir avec nous, Guy Savoy. I've heard that you're a huge rugby fan. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous expliquer comment le rugby a influencé votre vie et votre carrière?
Ma vie, bon, ben, dès l'école de rugby, j'ai pris conscience qu'en équipe, on était bien plus fort. J'ai pris également conscience que malgré toutes les singularités de chaque poste, c'est-à-dire toutes les différences à la fois de personnalité, de physique, de vitesse, grâce à toutes ces différences, en fait, on faisait une équipe cohérente. Et je me suis aperçu qu'aujourd'hui, en fait, je mets ça en place dans mes restaurants et on voit que chaque personne a toujours un poste qui lui convient.
Et
ça, on l'apprend au rugby.
Je crois que dans votre restaurant aussi, vous n'avez pas une brigade, mais plutôt une équipe, c'est ça?
J'ai toujours défendu le mot équipe, absolument. Ça, c'est certainement lié directement au rugby. Et j'ai aussi par habitude de dire que dans cette équipe, je suis le capitaine entraîneur. Malheureusement, parfois l'arbitre, mais très rarement. Donc c'est bon.
Très bien. Alors, c'est l'heure de jouer. It's time to do the draw here for you, Guy. Put an end to this suspense. So it's over to you for the first one.
Yes.
Ça bouge un peu dans la salle, il y a un petit peu d'excitation, c'est normal.
Wow. New Zealand.
Ah! In Pool A, New Zealand. Perfect. That is great. Moving on to the next one. Great news. Guy, over to you. Yes. Bit of excitement there, of course.
South Africa.
In Pool B, South Africa. Wow. I can see Claude Haché going, oh. Yes, moving on, Guy.
Wales.
In Pool C, we have Wales. And for the last pool, Pool D, of course,
England.
it's England in Pool D. Wow, wonderful. So it's a lot of excitement in the room. I can feel it, and we're going to have some friends on the stage in a minute just to comment, obviously, this draw. I'd like to thank Guy, and I'd like to thank all of you for being here with us today.
Juste rajouter ce que dit Bernard Laporte et Claude Haché. It will be the greatest World Cup of the world.
Wow, fantastic. C'est Guy Savoy qui le dit. So the draw is now complete, and let's recap on each pool for Rugby World Cup 2023. In Pool A, we have New Zealand, France, Italy, America's 1 and Africa 1. In Pool B, we have South Africa, Ireland, Scotland, Asia Pacific and Europe 2. In Pool C, we have Wales, Australia, Fiji, Europe 1, and the final qualifier winner. And in Pool D, we have England, Japan, Argentina, Oceania 1, and Americas 2. Some interesting pools and fixtures there. And now to provide some reactions to the draw, please welcome on stage our two last guests. The first one is known for his full beard, long hair and tackling technique. Fans call him l'homme des cavernes. It's Sébastien Chabal, who is joined by former coach in 2007 and current vice chairman of World Rugby, Bernard Laporte. Bonjour à tous les deux, on est super content de vous avoir évidemment avec nous sur le plateau aujourd'hui. Bernard, vous avez donc assisté à ce tirage au sort. Quel est votre ressenti après cette très très belle cérémonie?
D'abord, permettez-moi au nom de la Fédération internationale et en tant que vice-président et au nom de Bill Beaumont, notre chairman, de remercier le président de la République qui nous a fait honneur. Voilà, il a fait honneur au rugby international, qui plus est à cet événement bien sûr que nous organisons. Donc merci à lui d'être venu. Et merci à Claude et à toutes les équipes parce que c'était une cérémonie formidable, un décor extraordinaire qui donne envie. Et je disais tout à l'heure, la Coupe du Monde, elle démarre aujourd'hui. Voilà. Tout le monde connaît ses adversaires. C'est le premier jour de la Coupe du Monde.
C'est vrai, ça fait du bien, c'est une belle fête. Sébastien, we know that the final pool table has been set up here. Maybe just a first reaction, what are you feeling? Any surprises, any great challenges?
So first of all, because it's Franglais.
Franglais, of course it is, in French.
As I said to a journalist in 2007, we are in France, so I will speak French.
Okay, in French then.
Il n'y a pas de bonne ou de mauvaise surprise. Je crois qu'aujourd'hui, les équipes vont pouvoir commencer à se projeter sur cette compétition. Aujourd'hui était un jour important, mais juste si j'ai un petit conseil à donner à Guy qui a tiré la Nouvelle-Zélande, voilà, il ne faudrait pas qu'il croise trop de joueurs français pendant 3 ans parce que voilà, ça va peut-être être compliqué pour lui.
Ça va mal se passer, c'est ça. Oui. Sébastien, you participated in the last Rugby World Cup in France in 2007. Maybe you'd like to say a few words to the guys for this World Cup in 2023.
Ben, je crois qu'il faut qu'ils soient conscients qu'ils vont avoir une chance incroyable de participer à cet événement sur notre territoire en France. On est tous convaincus et on sait qu'ils vont se préparer pour être prêts pour cette compétition, mais parfois ça ne suffit pas. Alors je leur dirais de se préparer le plus sérieusement possible, mais de ne pas être trop sérieux parce que ça reste un jeu. Il faut un peu de magie, un petit peu de plus pour gagner cette compétition.
Bernard, ce qui est sûr, c'est que ce sera un tournoi absolument exceptionnel. Quelle importance a cette compétition pour le développement du rugby dans le monde?
La Coupe du Monde, c'est essentiellement...
Yeah, really good to hear from Sébastien Chabal, a stalwart of the French game, played in 2007. He was just saying it's just an incredible opportunity to be able to play at home, and the vision for that team in terms of just stepping everything up, whether it's their training, their dedication, because it's an incredible honour to play at home. And hearing from Bernard Laporte, said it's an absolute honour to be here today and an honour to be able to host the Rugby World Cup, and just sent his thanks to everyone for creating this opportunity to bring the world to France.
Je crois que c'est aussi simple que ça. On s'est battu avec Claude, avec les équipes pour aller arracher cette organisation. Donc nous, bien sûr, nous souhaitons encore une fois une organisation merveilleuse et que tous les joueurs, que tous les spectateurs qui vont venir, on attend 600 000 visiteurs, mais repartent en se disant la France est le plus beau pays du monde. Voilà, et ce sont les meilleurs organisateurs en termes d'événements sportifs. Voilà, c'est tout ce qu'on attend. Et puis doucement pour l'équipe de France, j'espère qu'elle va la gagner.
Bah oui, évidemment, bien sûr. Merci beaucoup vraiment à tous les deux. Mais avant que vous partez, a surprise for some very special people on the stage and all of you watching us today. We have some fans that have sent a message of encouragement. I think I should say it like that. Take a look.
Allons enfants de la patrie,
Je dois arriver
contre nous de la tyrannie.
Les tendances sanglants élevés,
Les tendances sanglants élevées.
Entendez-vous dans nos campagnes
mugir ces féroces soldats, Ils viennent jusque dans vos bras, égorger nos fils et nos campagnes. Aux armes, c'était rien.
Formez vos bataillons.
Marchons, marchons, que sont montés à Berlin et l'Océan.
A huge round of applause for the excellent singing talent of all these rugby stars. So thank you so much for being with us. We're coming to the end of the show again. Thanks to the coaches, our special guests, and of course you, the fans that are watching us, who wish you the very best of luck. All the teams that are competing for the very best rugby competition on the planet. Before we go, dear fans, don't forget that tickets will be on sale in March, and you can now register via tickets.rugbyworldcup.com. You can also, as of now, join the 2023 family to benefit from certain special advantages. Finally, stay safe. We look forward to welcoming everybody to France for what promises to be a very special Rugby World Cup in 2023. Merci, à bientôt, and from me, it's goodbye for now. Ciao.
Merci to the team.
Marchons. Come on, Alma.
Wow, that was magnifique. Beautiful. Bravo.
Thank you very much.
Udamone. Wow, what a result we have there. I saw all of you tweeting about Australia, Wales. It's your fault. If you were one of those people tweeting, just bring us the Australia, Wales pool now, then I blame you for this outcome. Let's welcome to the show Brian O'Driscoll, joining us just to give us his immediate reactions to that. The very famous Irish player. Brian, welcome to the show. What do you think of that?
Hi, Hugo. You know, the World Cup seems to be getting better and better. The quality of the pools improves with every 4 years. I think particularly when you look at the, you know, that third tier of teams, the quality of, you know, Fiji, Scotland, Italy, and Argentina. You know, it's kind of hard to choose if you're one of the, you know, the first two groups, which of those teams you would want in your pool. So I think South Africa will be delighted, though, Elma, with Ireland and Scotland anyway. It's another World Cup quarter-final for them anyway.
I was going to ask you about your pool. I was doing cartwheels as I saw the draw pulled for Ireland, for England, I should say. Same pool, Ireland, Scotland were drawn together in 2019. I mean, we're often trying to look for the pool of depth. Ireland might be in that one. What do you feel?
Yeah, well, you look at the quality of how Scotland are progressing now under Gregor Townsend. You know, if they can keep some of their key players fit, they're a handful for anyone. They were, you know, hard done by in 2015 in the World Cup quarterfinal. Should have been semi-finalists. So, you know, we've got a great rivalry against them. There's no love lost between the teams, and you know, Ireland have had the ascendancy on the head-to-heads in more recent times, but come a World Cup, you know, we haven't managed to properly deliver on a World Cup yet. So the pressure will continue to be on to get, first of all, out of that pool to get to a quarter-final, and then ultimately to get to that elusive semi-final.
I read in the Irish press during the week, someone wrote a whole piece saying anyone but Argentina. And we want to see at these tournaments, you want to see some fresh, interesting matchups. It's almost unbelievable that it's taken us until the 10th Rugby World Cup to have South Africa and Ireland play one another at this tournament. Ireland plays Scotland very often, but this is a matchup that definitely presents a different prospect. I think the last time Ireland won back-to-back matches was against South Africa, wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Lost back-to-back matches.
Argue with your stats, Elma, but I do think that, you know, it's nice to freshen things up as well. And Sometimes with history, particularly if it hasn't gone well for you at Rugby World Cups, it can hang over you a little bit. So to get some fresh blood in South Africa in the pool stage, albeit they're the reigning champions, things could be very different. At least that's what Ireland will be hoping in 3 years' time as to what sort of South African opposition they will be facing. And you've got to. I heard Sia say before the show that you've got to beat the best teams to win the World Cup. You don't have to beat every team, but you've got to beat some of the best teams. And South Africa are undoubtedly going to be one of those. So it's a big test first up to try and top the pool, but I'm sure one that Andy Farrell and Johnny Sexton and his team will relish.
Let's jump from Pool B to Pool A. I mean, there's some fascinating matchups already spoken about. Ireland, South Africa, Ireland, Scotland. But when you're the host nation and you draw New Zealand, you're thinking, this is a hell of a stitch-up, isn't it? I mean, that's a fascinating tie, isn't it, at the pool stages?
Well, however bad France feel about it, what about poor Italy getting the host nation, one of the resurgent teams in World Rugby, and New Zealand, who are more often than not the favourites going into the tournament? I think that got, no surprise, it got the most oohs and ahs because New Zealand and France drawing against one another. We've seen over the years some incredible duels between those two teams. Both sides coming out on top, the inaugural World Cup final between New Zealand and France. But then, in memory of Christophe Dominici, that incredible semi-final in '99. So that is a mouth-watering game. New Zealand won't love the prospect of going to France and having them in their pool with what they've seen over the last 12 months or so and the quality coming through. So that, I don't know if there's quite a pool of death this year, not quite to the same effect as in Japan or previous World Cups. But if there's a tough pool, it's because those two quality teams are 1 and 2, and poor old Italy have to do something that they've never done before and try and beat New Zealand, try and beat France to qualify for a quarter-final.
I've had a few people get in touch with me and send some tweets as well, and he won't mind me saying it because he's a good friend of mine, but people have asked if Wayne Barnes can referee that New Zealand-France match. They were really pleased with how he did it in 07. Wayne, I know you're watching. It's just a bit of fun. That's all I'm saying.
He seemed to do a fine job last time. It was... I think the whole world knew that the pass went backwards, except for 6 million odd people in the south of the globe. But listen, the thing is that it's a respect for New Zealand that everyone wants the other side, that the opposition that they're playing, to beat, because we don't want them having a monopoly on World Cups. They won back-to-back in 11 and 15, but we ultimately, want to see outsiders coming through and underdogs to be able to beat the team that's touted as the best in the world, as they ordinarily are. So I'm sure it'll probably be, they'll be in the mix as trophy contenders, along with probably South Africa and England and France. Well, all three of them. I think it's going to be a more level playing field going into this World Cup. I don't think you're going to have that one out-and-out favourite, which it makes it all the more exciting. And hey, who knows? We might even get a first-time winner, be it France or be it one of the other Six Nations teams. How bad would that be?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brian O'Driscoll, for joining us. Now, just need to also point out that besides New Zealand, France, and Italy, in that Pool A, you'll also have potentially USA as the Americas 1 qualifier. So spare a thought for the USA, or maybe they fancy themselves. Maybe they think they can make a dent there with Africa 1 potentially being Namibia, South Africa, Ireland, and Scotland, potentially joined by either Tonga or Samoa, and then Europe 2 could be Russia, just to add some spice to Pool B. Pool C, Wales, Australia, Fiji. It could be Georgia in that Europe 1 spot. And then the final qualifier, Pool D, England, Japan, Argentina. That could be Tonga or Samoa as Oceania 1. And that could be Uruguay or Canada for Americas 2, just to give you some potential penciled in teams to fill out those pools.
Well, great to be joined by another superstar from the world of rugby. Fijian legend, that is Semi Radradra. Thank you for joining us this morning. How are you?
I'm good, brother. Thank you. So,
Yeah, not too bad. Just having a look at Pool C, I mean, it's almost deja vu when you look back to 2019. You've got Wales, Australia, Europe 1, which could be Georgia as well as a qualifier. What was your initial thoughts when you saw that draw come out?
I think pumped, feel pumped to see the same draws as the last World Cup. I think it'll be a good test for the boys to play Australia and Wales again. I think we're really looking forward to it. There'll be a lot of work as well with the Fiji team.
Yeah, we've got a new management structure coming. You've got Vern Cotter at the helm. We didn't unfortunately get to see a lot of Fiji this year in 2020, but how are things coming together? How are you building ahead of 2023?
I think, we find it tough for the last couple of weeks about the COVID thing. So the boys really get along together, and with the coaching staff, there's a lot of young boys in the team. So we blend it really well. Like I said, we just we try to get as much as we know each other and the coaching system. So hopefully not too bad for the upcoming World Cup.
Sammy, finally, before we let you go, one question has got nothing to do with rugby, but as you can see, I've got a little bit of growth on my chin out here, and I've got a little bit of beard envy. What are you doing to get a beard as great and as glorious as that? I need a couple of tips, bro.
Might just order some coconut from Fiji. Some coconut oil. Yeah.
Okay, a little bit of... Okay, brilliant. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for that advice. I'll be going onto Google or any of those other search engines to get myself some Fijian coconut oil. I've always wondered, it's beautiful, immaculate.
It's always the simplest stuff that does the best for you. That is generally my beauty advice. And so I think that the coconut sounds like a win. And now we are joined by someone whose face became very familiar to all of us rugby fans during Rugby World Cup 2019, because he was the captain of Japan. Konnichiwa yokoso, Michael Leach. Welcome to the show. How do you feel about being drawn in a pool with England and Argentina?
No, I'm very excited. So, Argentina, they've been one of the most passionate teams in the last sort of 2 years, and to come up against my old coach, Eddie Jones and Steve Borthwick, that'll be another personal challenge. So, I'm pretty sure that the Japanese public are very looking forward to the next World Cup in France.
Michael, in 2015, people called it an upset when you beat South Africa. Home in 2019, it was no longer an upset. You were just playing some wonderful rugby that captured everyone's imagination. So what's the expectation building like in Japan, looking ahead to France 2023?
I think the potential that the Japanese have, it's growing and growing. We've got a massive group of young guys that are coming through. We've got some good foreign eligible players that are coming through also. But I think the expectation is going to be the same. So we'll start from scratch again and just take each game as it is, and get out of our pool first before we think about trying to do anything else.
Michael, tell us about the legacy of Rugby World Cup 2019. We did see reports at the beginning of the year that you had record turnout for top league matches. Of course, 2020 has meant a massive disruption, and so you didn't have your test series in the middle of the year. The Olympics couldn't take place. The top league, however, now seems to be gearing up for January with some big stars back in Japan.
Yes, so after the World Cup, we had record numbers. A lot of kids started joining rugby clubs. University rugby started to take off again. But now we are top league starting in January. We've got a lot of big names coming over here. Malcolm Marx is over here bullying everyone. So we're looking forward to starting and hopefully this year with having all those great stars come across, top league level is going to get much better.
Excellent.
Lovely
Thank you
stuff.
so much for joining us, Michael. It was great to hear from you. And we'll definitely keep an eye on Japan's progress, as he says, as they start building towards 2023. Ugo, I'm getting word that your friend is joining us again.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the England captain, Owen Farrell, on the line. Thank you so much for joining us and staying with us right throughout that draw. There was a few oohs and there was a few ahs for some of those pool draws. But what's your automatic reaction when you look at Pool D? England, Japan, Argentina confirmed with a couple of qualifying places left. From what you know, what's your automatic reaction to that?
No, it's a great pool. It's a great pool to be a part of. You know, if you look across them all, they're all tough pools. But obviously, with the way that Japan and Argentina are going at the minute, and some of the rugby that has been played over the last few years by them both, obviously it's going to be a tough pool.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be really challenging. Sorry, go on, Alma.
No, Owen, I wanted to get your thoughts on Argentina. They, of course, stunned the All Blacks recently, and there's been so much focus on the way that they've pitched up to the Tri-Nations this year. It seems like they've been able to build so much cohesion, but of course that unfortunately in their domestic game, Jaguares has slipped through the cracks a bit, and so no one quite knows what to expect from Argentina in 2023, although isn't that quite like classic Argentina?
No, yeah, as Michael said before, they're an unbelievably passionate team, and that's everybody knows that. And obviously, the way that they've performed over this rugby championship, that's just gone on is obviously fantastic. But at the same time, there's a long time to go before the World Cup, and there's a lot of time for everybody to improve and make a run for it. So that'll be the thing now. Everybody's looking to build to make sure that when it comes to the World Cup starting, they'll be at the best.
Well, good man. Thank you so much for joining us, Owen. Enjoy the rest of your time. I've got a bit of downtime now, haven't you? So have a good Christmas with the family, and we'll catch up soon.
Thanks. Cheers.
It's great to get the reaction
let's have a look.
The captains and the players.
Yeah, Rugby World Cup 2023, RWC 2023, that hashtag. Certainly enjoying a lot of your attention. I'm loving everyone's thoughts as they keep rolling in. Penny Roberts and Pickle says, what a killer group Pool B is. South Africa, Ireland, Scotland, and 2 qualifiers. England still have a couple of banana skins. And then James Barker says, we all joked, but Wales, Australia, Fiji is simply compulsory. Hashtag RWC 2023. And as I said in the beginning, I blame you guys.
Yeah, we've had this one for Cheetah's play. South Africa will easily destroy Scotland and Ireland on our way to the 4th World Cup trophy. So a lot of confidence coming out from South Africa, and rightly so. You are the current World Cup champions. But as Owen Farrell said, there is a bit of time to go. There's a bit of business. We've got the Lions tour in it. But anyway, that's the confidence from the public. Let's hear a word from the South African captain, Sia Khaleesi, to see whether he's as confident as the people on Twitter as well. Sia, thank you for coming back. Let's have a look at that group. South Africa, Ireland, Scotland, a couple to still be to be confirmed. What's your reaction to Pool B?
No, it's a tough pool. I'm pretty excited about it. Ireland and Scotland highly ranked, and we're going to have to be as prepared as we can be. But like you said, there's a lot of rugby still need to be played this year. We have to focus on making sure that we are ready by the time we get the opportunity to play this year. You know, we haven't played any international rugby, but for now we're just enjoying the local competition, and then we see if there's going to be any matches or anything before the British and Irish Lions.
Now, Sia, a lot of international rugby fans haven't seen the Springboks or much of South African rugby for that matter, because they've just had so much on offer up north. So for anyone who's missed out on the recent action, who are the players who've been impressing all of us here in South Africa that might make a name for themselves come 2023? Any new names come through the ranks so far this season?
Yeah, there's been a lot of guys playing well. I will already tell you the guys that have played already, like the twins, the Dupree twins. Have been doing well. Cheslin had an amazing game last week, and there's a lot of talent here in South Africa as well. We've seen a lot of loose forwards putting their hands up, and some backs as well, and guys coming back from injury. It's good to see Lucanio come back from injury. So there's a lot of different guys. I don't want to name a few players and then forget some of the others. So there's a lot but you'll see as this Currie Cup goes, and hopefully after the break, I think there will be another competition started. So the rest of the world will get to see.
Absolutely. There's a lot of rugby still to be played. I mean, you won the World Cup in 2019, built on defence, and I guess South Africa are probably going to have to defend a little bit better than your football team, Liverpool, at the moment, aren't they, if they're to win back-to-back World Cups?
We didn't lose last night. We drew the game, and we're still the champions of England. So I don't know what you're going on about.
I have to drop it in there.
I would just like to say I'm wearing red, Sia. I'm on side. Sia, just as a parting bit of advice to any teams out there, I think South Africa's journey in the previous Rugby World Cup cycle from 2016 to 2019 is probably something many teams can take heart from. From the dark days of losing to Japan in that opening match in 2015 to where the rankings dipped to in 2016 and 17, and then the height of 2019. Anything truly can still happen between now and 2023. Have you got any advice for teams, players, or coaches out there who are looking at their pool going, that's a lot?
I think, I can just tell you what, with us, it was all, I think, a mindset, and I think new and fresh ideas, and we had a coaching staff that really believed that things could be turned around, and somebody who's worked with us. And I think we all bought into the plan. We saw the plans, and we were allowed to share ideas, and we were honest. Coach was honest and clear about what he wanted from us. It was clear, this is what you need to do to make the team, And I think that's the important stuff. Just see where you are, acknowledge where you are, and then take action, and then everybody must buy into it. And I think the people of South Africa saw, it came through our honesty off the field, and we took it straight on the field, and we worked as hard as we could. We trained exactly how we wanted to play. So everything we did on the training field, it was exactly how we wanted to be on the field. I think that's what was really important, how we bought into the plan, and we believed. We had a couple of goals and we reached them, and as soon as we reached them, we started believing that this is possible. And then people in our country as well started getting behind us, because the stadiums were empty before that, And I think Michael will also say when they won the 2015 World Cup, that kind of changed everything. They've been building since then, and they've been an amazing team since then. And I think we also had a moment like that after going through a bad period. We had a change of staff, and then we had goals. We reached our first goal, and then we started believing straight after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the transformation's been incredible, and it's been reverberated around South Africa. I got some advice from Semi Radradra about how to grow my beard. He said some Fijian coconut oil. I spoke to you earlier on in the year about getting some South African delicacies. I've forgotten what it's called. Yeah. Can you remind me? And I need the recipe because I'm going to be over in South Africa next summer.
Umpokoko. That's my favorite meal. It's sour milk and pap and mealie meal. So it will be ready for when you come, and there's other stuff that I'll take you. Ian Wright is already trying to get hold of the stuff from South Africa, so you must bring him over.
I'll bring Ian Wright over, an Arsenal legend, a proper footballing legend to South Africa. We're coming to your house. Sia, you're going to be cooking for us, that's for sure, next summer. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your time, and take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much to Siya Kolisi for joining us. Then confirmation there. If you've only just surfaced, South Africa will play Ireland, Scotland, potentially Tonga or Samoa in that Asia Pacific 1 qualifier, and potentially Russia as Europe 2. That is the way that Pool B stacks up. Pool C, of course, the one that has everyone talking on Twitter. Wales, Australia, and Fiji. Wales and Australia drawn together for the third consecutive time at a Rugby World Cup. They will be joined in that pool potentially by Georgia as well, a team we've seen quite a bit from in the Autumn Nations Cup.
Yeah, there's a lot
take
going
a
on,
look.
and there's been some incredible reaction. France versus New Zealand could be very tasty. Absolutely. The host playing against probably the most dominant force in rugby of the last decade. Wales, Australia, Fiji, a tale as old as time. That's Tim Cocker, the Rugby Podcast. That's their reaction to all of that.
And Tavia Evans says, now 3 years to get on form, Wales. Take note, Siya Kolisi literally just gave you a to-do list. If there's anything you want to do to improve your rankings, your odds, Wales certainly has plenty of challenge in their pool with them. Let's talk about Italy, though. They are in a pool with France and New Zealand, potentially also the USA and Namibia. Luca Bigi now joins us, captain of Italy. Luca, how do you feel about being drawn in a very tough pool with the hosts?
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, obviously it's a tough pool. We're really excited to play against New Zealand and the national who we lost the World Cup. So there will be more than probably 30 matches before the World Cup. So we are building. We are a young team, and we want to be ready for that moment.
Yeah, well, we've seen Italian rugby really building under new coaching staff. Had really good first half against Wales, had a very good first half against France at the Stade de France. Do you really feel as if the core foundations of rugby is starting to be implemented into Italian rugby?
Yeah, as you said, we played a really good, maybe for 60 minutes in 3 games against France, against Scotland, and against Wales. Our performance was really good, but we didn't finish well. So we have to manage that moment. We have to be more controlled. We are a young team. As I said, we are building. We'll have a few younger guys who's come in the team with outstanding ethic works. So we have more than 2 years to prepare a massive World Cup, so we will be prepared for that.
If I was to get you to comment on one of the... Sorry, Elma.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, hopefully we've got a bit of a neutral voice now. We know Pool A, New Zealand, France, Italy, but when you look at the other 3 pools, Pool B, South Africa, Ireland, Scotland, C, Wales, Australia, Fiji, and Pool D, England, Japan, Argentina. Who do you think's got the most difficult pool out of the remaining 3?
What do you think? Sorry, the last question.
I said, who's got the toughest pool outside of your one?
Oh yeah, maybe Pool D, Argentina, England, Japan. What Argentina did in the last championship was amazing. Japan had a massive World Cup. So, but all the pools are tough. So I think the improvement in the last years and in the next 2 years will be great for rugby, for world rugby, and it will be a nice World Cup for everyone with tough pools, and yeah.
Luca, we haven't seen much of the Northern and the Southern Hemisphere playing each other in 2020 so far. And so it's very hard to truly gauge what the standards are because of the disrupted year we've had. But which of the teams that you've seen in action so far in 2020 of the other nations have impressed you? Is there perhaps someone from the Southern Hemisphere?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe France had a massive improvement on the last 12 months. We played against them during Six Nations and during the Autumn Cup. So one of the best teams that we played against in the last 12 months.
Excellent. Well, Luca, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you.
on the Rugby World Cup 2023 draw. Look at that sigh of relief. He's like, oh, okay, they're done talking to me now. I can relax and take my blazer off. And so there's been a lot of energy and build up into this day. A lot of people during the draw were tweeting, just get to the draw. We just want to know. Now that we know, what are teams and particularly coaches going through, Ugo? How important is this? They have 3 years now. There's no excuse in the world to pitch up in France in 998 days unprepared.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there'll be some team managers, but potentially looking at travel after just a couple of weeks to go back home. But in all seriousness, I feel like today's a really nice landmark day. It's just been over a year since we had the World Cup in Japan, which was just phenomenal. We've just come off the back of 2 months of international rugby, and in a year which has been really tested and tried for so many, it's great to almost sign off this year with a bit of good news and a bit of excitement, because when you look right across all of the pools, I mean, some of the teams that are in Tier 3, Italy, Scotland, Fiji, Argentina, I mean, they're ranked as Tier 3 sides, so the competition, and it feels like the international airspace is slightly condensed because that competition seems to be perhaps better than it's ever been.
Let's take a look at what you've been saying on Twitter. I have been seeing people trying to forecast even quarterfinals and semifinals already. It's a little early, guys. Copy paste Wales. David Morgan saying that. Don't know why everyone is already crowning England to win their pool. Japan have beaten the top sides in the last 2 World Cups, and Argentina isn't an easy game. Fair point from Harry Bauer.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play for him. I mean, I think people are quite excited about England at the moment because, I mean, they've only lost 1 game this year. They've won the Six Nations as well as the Autumn Nations Cup. But we know everything changes within a World Cup. It absolutely does. Japan have come on leaps and bounds. Argentina have also, of course, I mean, having not played a game for 30 months and beating New Zealand, I don't think anyone can start predicting what's going to happen in the quarterfinals, because if we can learn anything from the last 2 World Cups, there will always be an upset. There'll always be a surprise. And let's face it, if sport was scripted, it'd be boring. The one thing it always gives us is a bit of jeopardy and a bit of uncertainty. So I'm really excited, but very confident looking at Pool D, got to say.
Okay, well, make sure that you head to tickets.rugbyworldcup.com so that you can register for ticket sales, because there's no point you're this amped with us and you can't be there to enjoy the action with us. Tickets.rugbyworldcup.com. Get in there early because you don't want to miss out. Ugo, as a parting shot, you mentioned teams who can really break the mold and make it into the quarterfinals. Japan had never beaten Ireland or Scotland, and yet they did so in 2019 to make the quarterfinals for the first time ever. Is there a team here, particularly of the Argentina, Fiji, Scotland, Italy row, that you think might break the mold? Is it Fiji with Vern Cotter now at the helm?
Absolutely. Fiji, I think we've been waiting for them to have the scaffolding to go alongside that natural talent. We saw Nandolo come out of retirement last week. He scored a hat-trick against Georgia. I think they're a fascinating team that play a wonderful brand of rugby. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they fare in France 2023.
Well, thank you so much for keeping me company today, Ugo Monye. Thank you for joining the 2 of us and all of our guests on the show. As you've seen, the red ribbon on the screen is part of the brand of Rugby World Cup 2023, the unbreakable bond that ties us all together as we prepare for our great big rugby rendezvous in France. 10 host cities, 20 teams, 48 matches, and 2023 will mark 200 years since the birth of rugby. See you there.
Cheers, thank you.